It's time now for the West Holmes Knights Football Weekly Preview Show, brought to you by Holmes Siding Contractors.
This week's Knights Football Weekly Preview Show brought to you by Holmes Siding Contractors in Millersburg. I'm Matt Croy alongside Jake Sada. West Holmes coming off a 23-21 loss in Knights Stadium in their season opener to the Tri-Way Titans off a game-winning 35-yard field goal by junior kicker Cohen Baker. And Jake, we talked about it last week. We expected a great game, and then we got a great game last week.
And like I said, this could have been one of the best games of the season. And, West Holmes went down, able to make their way back up, end up taking the lead with in the fourth quarter, and it took a game-winning drive from Tri-Way and a 35-yard field goal. And how many times have you seen a high school kicker miss a 35-yard field goal? But really, I think both teams played pretty good games, and it's going to be exciting to see what both teams do moving on.
Yeah, the field goal just did slip through the uprights, but it counted, and they got that win, no question about that. Luke Starr did a good job as we expected. Of course, dual-threat quarterback. He was a handful for the game. But at the same token, give the West Holmes defense some credit. First half especially, where the Knights offense had trouble kind of moving the ball, the Knights defense going to help keep their team in the game.
They were able to do that, and of course, if you can keep it a three-score game, you've got enough offensive weapons that can help get you back into it the more you play in here. I mean, you look at what Lynn Klein has been able to do in his career, and it doesn't hurt when you have a kickoff return for a touchdown.
You mentioned that. We kind of saw more of that talent kind of stand out more in the second half. Reed Hawksworth, of course, kick return for a score in that third quarter, got West Holmes back within a touchdown, and obviously just gives you an idea what Reed Hawksworth and some other guys with their skill positions can do for West Holmes.
And I think even though this one ends up in the loss column, it's going to do a lot to raise the confidence level of this West Holmes team, because they're not out of the woods yet. You still have to play Dover and New Philly, a lot of big powerhouses in the OCC, and I think this is just a learning opportunity, a step to grow as a team.
A step to grow, a team that's only going to get better. You think about freshman Coy Beachy. How about him, the game that he had in his varsity debut? 16 tackles on the defensive end. He also had a touchdown reception, his first touchdown reception of his career, and kind of a glimpse of what's to come, I think, with Coy.
And I think they're really going to want him to keep stepping up on the defensive end. Like you said, 16 tackles on the defensive end. That might be a freshman record for West Holmes in a single game. And if he's out there making those kind of tackles week in and week out, West Holmes is going to have a chance to win some football games.
West Holmes now 0-1 of the season, looking to rebound this week against Orville. And alongside West Holmes Knights head football coach Keaton Lovell, cut off that 23-21 loss to Tri-Way last week. And despite the loss, Keaton, still a lot of positives you can take out of that week one game.
Yeah, I mean, there's positives all across the board. I mean, you're gonna talk to two guys today, that really stepped up, and Reed Hawksworth with a big kickoff return, and Max Coakley, who was, one of the few guys who didn't cramp all night. So there's a lot of things. We saw Coy Beachy, especially on the defensive side of the ball. He's all over the place. Offensively, he was a little spark for us there. But there's positives sprinkled through there, and I think the biggest positive of them all is seeing this team fight and claw to get back in the game. It was too little too late at that point, but it's a team that they continue to fight, and you didn't see them give up. No matter the situation in the game.
You mentioned the cramps there. Just get your thoughts on that, because every year we deal with it, right? I know everybody does, but the first couple weeks of the season, it seems like that's such a big issue that teams have to work through. Your thoughts on it, just having to work through the cramps and things like that? It seems like a challenge everybody has to deal with early part of the year.
Yeah, I mean, sure, but to be 100% honest with you, there wasn't a single cramp on the Tri-Way sideline, so it's a thing, It's a thing we had a long discussion about on Saturday, and we got to take care of ourselves better physically. We stress the mental part all the time, and you can stress all the conditioning all you want, but if you're not drinking fluids, not drinking electrolytes, you're gonna run into those issues. So we'll just say this: we made a big emphasis on making sure we're hydrated this week, even with the nice weather. But I'm proud of the kids that were there to step up. There's some guys that we threw in that I don't think them or us expected to be in the game. Guys stepped up and did a great job. I mean, the one that I, right off the top of my head is Cody Gallion, losing Chance Jackson early in that game. He's a kid who popped in and next man up mentality and did a really good job for us. So we're going to correct those issues with cramping this week. But, the positive is we saw that next man up mentality.
And Keaton, on the offensive, we talked about this, a lot of talent on the offensive, but still some of that experience in certain places there. That's the type of thing you expect to get better each and every single week. How are some things that maybe you think you can do about getting better from week one to week two as far as the offense is concerned?
Yeah, I think offensively, we we came in and we have this playbook, and it looks good during practice, and you're running all these different concepts. And I think offensively the biggest thing we have to do is simplify it. Number one priority for us is to establish a run game. We weren't able to do that. So we got to figure out a way up front schematically to make sure that no matter the situation, no matter what front we get, we're able to establish that run game so we can get to our play action game. I think we got to do a better job blocking in space in our screen game. But we got to be, you talk about those first game jitters and those first year starters. I think we were a little hesitant off the ball, and we really got to get off the football to establish that line of scrimmage to be able to do what we want to do.
Take on Orville this week. Obviously, they got that big win over Worcester in week 1. What are you expecting to see from this Red Rider team?
Yeah, I mean, from, them offensively, obviously you saw them explode for a lot of points. They got 2 really good backs who are really good downhill runners. And then, receiver in the skill position wise, they're very talented. And then you look at, McDuffie, who's, he's a 6'5" target, and he's super athletic. He's super fast. And we're going to have to account for him in the game. I mean, offensively, we got to get to the quarterback and, try and disrupt more so than we did, last Friday. Last Friday we were kind of trying to analyze instead of just disrupt. So offensively there, and then defensively, again, they got a bunch of speed in the secondary. All their backers at the second level are disciplined. They read their keys. They get downhill, and then they got really good size up front. So we're in for another challenge, and they're a team right now that has all the momentum where we don't have any momentum right now. So I'm excited to see how our kids respond. We're in the same spot last year, and we came back with a good response, and that's what we're expecting from our kids this week.
Certainly did last year, no question about that. You mentioned the defense, saw a lot of good things from your defense last week, and as you mentioned, a good test for them this week against Orville.
Yeah, absolutely. I think defense did a good job of taking the ball away, giving the offense the ball back in situations, bending, not breaking. We still have a lot of work to do on that side. We got to be more disciplined. We got to read our keys better. But what I'm expecting out of them is doing their job. I think if we do our job last week, it's a different story. And that's the stress this week is do your job and communicate is the biggest thing I need to see from them guys.
Keith, thanks for your time. Good luck this week.
Thank you.
Jake Sottle here with West Holmes senior guard Max Coakley, as well as junior wide receiver Reed Hawksworth. And Reed, we'll talk to you first. A little bit of an interesting game, but you had a big third quarter play, a 90-yard touchdown on a kickoff return to get your team back within a score. What can you walk us through that play a little bit?
Well, it was just a normal play. I was back there ready to return. Kind of fumbled it at first. Figured I'd give it my best and had great blocks and ended up pretty well.
And a play like that can really flip the script of a game. Like I said, it got you right back into that game.
Yeah, the whole team was kind of getting hype after that and was ready to really play their best.
Max, you play on the offensive line. What did you see out of you and your offensive line mates' games to maybe work on, or what positives did you see throughout that game against Triway?
They had a good game plan for what we wanted to do in the run game. Kind of didn't expect it, but we still fought, did our jobs. We used our technique, everything we're taught, and we just went out there and we played football. We know as an offense lineman, your job is just kind of go out there and just hit someone. So as long as you just give effort and just hit someone with a different jersey on, that's all they can ask for.
So it's always tough. You end up making your way back, taking a 1-point lead, and then Triway marches down the field and gets that 35-yard field goal. What was kind of the conversation of what you could do better as a team after that game?
It was right there. It was a very back-and-forth game, a lot of missed opportunities to win. When it's right there, you kind of just have to go back, watch the film, look like what you could have done better, what you could have done to win, and just stuff like that to prepare for next week so you don't make those same mistakes.
Well, you've got Orville coming in this week. This is a team, a historic former conference rival with West Holmes, and they always come down to Knight Stadium getting ready to play. What have you guys been doing to prepare the offensive line for this Orville attack after they had a great game against Worcester last week?
We're just sticking to the schemes in the playbook and the film, just making ourselves better, just getting ready, because we know what they're going to do to us. We know how we can fix it, and we're just going to go out there and play football.
Reed, what was the conversation in the receiver room about getting ready for this game against the Red Riders?
I mean, we know that they're a fast team. Just kind of watching film on them to see what they're good at and then use it as an advantage to run certain plays that might get people open.
Well, guys, thanks for your time. Good luck Friday against Orville.
Thank you.
Well, if you're looking for a place that help you can create the right choice for your home and style, stop by Holmes Siding Contractors in Millersburg. Whether you need siding, windows, doors, or gutters, you can stop by and see them on County Road 624 in Millersburg or on the web, holmessiding.com. West Holmes, of course, now 0-1 of the year, taking on the Orville Red Riders in Knight Stadium. Orville, a record of 1-0, an impressive Week 1 victory for them on their home field by the score of 56-23 over Worcester. Of course, you look at last year at Orville, West Holmes got that exciting win, 43-29 over the Red Riders, a game where West Holmes trailed by 1 point at halftime. But it's the Brody Bowman show in the second half as he scored on 3 touchdown runs. West Holmes outscoring the Red Riders 22-7 in the second half to get that victory. West Holmes has actually won the last 4 meetings over Orville. And of course, Orville last year, they went 4-6 overall, just did miss out on getting into the playoffs. But Jake, of course, under the direction of now first-year head coach Brent Massanson this year for Orville, a new head coach, and looking for a new era to get started for this Red Rider team, and they're off to a pretty good start.
And it doesn't seem to matter who's coaching the Red Riders. It seems year in and year out they're going to be able to at least compete with a lot of the Pac-7 and even these non-conference games. And I think we're going to see a Red Riders team come in that is hyped after getting a win over their biggest rival in Worcester a week ago, and they're going to show West Holmes everything they can to try to go 2-0 in the season.
I think for West Holmes, it's a matter of how can he build off the last week's game. Of course, the close loss, obviously, they got some young guys and experience in different positions. See how this offense can take another step here against a very good Orville team this week.
And I think the offense needing to take a step is key as well, but the defense, I think, needing to come in here and really be the aggressor against a team that is in the first year of a new system, much like West Holmes was last year. Yeah, Orville played really well against Worcester, but we're expecting to be a little bit down this year, and we don't know how much of that contributed to that game. I think the West Holmes defense could have a field day coming out here and playing against the Red Riders at home.
Should be a good one on Friday night. Make sure you catch all the action on FM 95.3 and WKLM-FM.com. Of course, we're also video live streaming this contest on Friday on the WKLM YouTube page, courtesy of Claxon Communications. You can search YouTube and find WKLM Radio to find the live stream coverage for Friday's game, of course, as well on WKLM. Well, for Max Coakley, also Reed Hawksworth, Jake Saito, I'm Matt Croy, and also Keaton Leplaw. That's been this week's Knights Football Weekly Preview Show brought to you by Holmes Siding Contractors in Millersburg.
You've been watching the West Holmes Knights Football Weekly Preview Show, brought to you by Holmes Siding Contractors.